I know this picture here looks like a duck, but it is possible that it's not a duck. It's possible that this is some other kind of bird, and maybe something smashed its beak. And maybe it has, some kind of disorder to where it walks like this. Maybe it has a problem. This is pretty silly. When we look at a duck, we know a duck when we see it. And someone would have to fool us into thinking it was something else. And some people are very good at this. Some of the best people at doing this are evolutionists, people who believe that everything that we see came about by random processes that really ultimately came from nothing at all, which is, contrary to everything we see that happens in our life. Every time we see life, it comes from other living beings. We never see a rock turn into something living or a rock give birth to something living. Doesn't happen. One of the biggest areas where this is done is in the area of design. We see design in nature, we see design in animals. But you have people like one of the leading atheists, Richard Dawkins. He makes a statement like this: animals give the appearance of being designed by a theoretically sophisticated and practically ingenious physicist or engineer. So yeah, we look around and we see things like the zebra, we see things like a ladybug. We see this and we're like, wow, this is design. It's beautiful. We see things like the peacock, and we see, wow, this has to be design. But yet, these people are telling us no, it's not design. And this brings us back to this old classic argument. If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, maybe it's just a duck. But what would make somebody go to the other edge of this? What would make somebody deny this? Well, this can only be a moral issue, because when you see something that is so blatantly obvious, the only reason why you would go against what is obvious is if you didn't want to believe it. If maybe you had a different theory that this wouldn't match with, something like evolution. Evolution can't explain the reason why things appear so designed. Evolution should be all about survival. Whatever helps a creature to survive better, that's what will make it evolve. So all these designs that we see that are perfect with the creation of the Bible, of God making these creatures with these designs, because we already know that God created us humans as a pinnacle of his creation. So the things that we see in nature are all giving glory to God. So we see things like the peacock and the zebra, and these are things that are pleasing to the eye of us. And some things just simply don't have any function in nature. They have no way at all to help these animals survive. So there's no reason for them to evolve with these designs. But they are very pleasing to our eyes, and they all make us looking like, wow, what a beautiful creation, what a beautiful design. But these things are denied by the evolutionists because they simply don't want to believe it. Here's a quote from a biochemist named Michael Behe, and it's crazy that he came to the same conclusion, because when I read Richard Dawkins' statement about, even though these things appear to be designed, it's just an illusion, which I already wrote that off, because I know where his presuppositions are. He already presupposes that there is no designer, so everything he looks at, he's going to look at through these spectacles. But here, a biochemist who is open to design, this is what he says. Michael Behe: the strong appearance of design allows a disarmingly simple argument. If it looks, walks, and quacks like a duck, then absent compelling evidence to the contrary, we have warrant to conclude it's a duck. Design shouldn't be overlooked simply because it's so obvious. The Bible tells us plain and simple. When we start looking at these creeping and crawling things, and we start thinking that these things are the creation of all the depth and all the complexity of life, then we've completely turned into fools. And this is what's happened. Romans 1:22 through 23. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like up to corruptible man, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things. Here's Paul, talking about the same thing that's going on today. People think that evolution is some kind of new thing. No, people have been trying to find a cop out to God, the intelligent, moral being that has created our earth. People have been trying to find a cop out since the beginning, and even the Greeks had a form of evolution that they believed, and so did the Egyptians. They also believed that life evolved from the slime of the waters. So these are no new things, and it always comes from a moral standpoint. People don't want to believe in God, so they look for any way out. The same way that duck, you see that duck, oh, I know it's a duck, but if I don't want to believe it's a duck, I can come up with something. The more you learn about nature, the more you learn about other things, you can come with some pretty compelling arguments about anything to go with what you already believe. Your preconceived notion can be put into any kind of evidence that you look at. So knowing that we have all this evidence for a creator, things like the complexity of the human cell, knowing that we have machines inside of our body that are repairing our body. Every time we have some kind of sickness, we have things that are attacking the sickness right away that are repairing. We have blood clotting mechanisms and all kinds of different biochemical machines that are inside of our body, moving around, working, and duplicating themselves in a way that it's just unfathomable. You know, we can't create anything that can do the things that these little small cells in our body are doing. There's no way we can even comprehend how animals can come about without a male and a female. What could have came first? How would a male species of any animal survive years and years without a female? How can we have a chicken lay an egg without the male and the female being there? How can the egg be fertilized? How can we have blood without veins and a heart? How can we, there's so many things that had to be created all at once in order for creation to be here. So the obvious duck that's looking us right in the face is the design that is in this world. To deny this is to deny your own common sense. Something to think about.